All right. Thank you so much for being here today, Micaela. I appreciate it.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
why don't we start with you telling me a little bit about yourself and how you find yourself in at the WA group?
Yeah, that sounds good. My name is Micaela Elmore, like you said. I actually grew up in Winona, and then I went to school in the Twin Cities at St. Thomas, got a business degree there, and then I started working for Thrivent Financial. So started my career off there, was there for about 5 years. So that was more on the financial services side, a little bit of insurance, but not necessarily. And then last year, I was in touch with Gary Watts, and we were just kind of talking about different things. And we had gone to the same church together when I was growing up, so our families were friends. But we were just talking about different needs that WA Group had and what they were looking for, and specifically around the recruiting space. So that's my role here at WA is finding talent, recruiting talent, talking to people about who we are, what we do. And it's a really exciting and I think a big passion of mine to just get people in the right spots and to help people kind of spend their days doing things that they enjoy. So once Gary and I had connected, I decided to make the move. And so I actually work remotely for WA Group, but it's been since last October. So I'm fairly new to WA Group, but it's been an awesome transition to an employee-owned company, which is very unique. And just a smaller company where we can get things done very quickly, be able to make an impact on a lot of people's lives, which is awesome. So that's kind of what brought me here, and I'm excited to be talking to you about the insurance industry a little bit more today.
Good. So, is this kind of what you imagined for yourself when you were in high school and trying to figure out, like, what am I going to do when I grow up? Is that
Yeah.
where you thought you were going to be?
No. When I took those things in high school, those tests to tell you like what you should be, I was all over the board and I had no idea what I wanted to do. I knew I loved people. I knew I loved making some sort of impact. I didn't even know what that meant in high school, really, like what does it mean to make an impact? But when you're young and you're excited, you want to just go out and make a difference in the world. And so that's where I was at high school. I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I went to school and I got a very broad business degree. I knew that business was just, the way of the world. So might as well get a little bit of an understanding of what that looked like and then go from there. So I got an awesome internship and then that kind of turned into where I am. So no, I had no idea this is what I was going to be doing.
And really, all these interviews that I've done, that is the answer that I hear every time. Like, no, I had no idea.
No, and
So that's
I didn't even know I didn't even really understand truly what different jobs were. I feel like you have your idea of, okay, you'd be a nurse or you could be in business, but when you say in business, you don't really even know what that could potentially mean for people. So I just didn't really know what I didn't know at the time. So, but as you go and explore different things, you figure out what you like and what you don't like. And there's a lot of value in that process too. So,
mm-hmm. Yep. Well, my father is 76, and he says that he still doesn't know what he wants to do when he grows up.
I love that.
So
Yes.
it's
Yep.
okay to
It
not
is.
know.
It is. It is for
It
sure.
is. And really, you mentioned that you just didn't even know what the options were. And that is so common, especially as quickly as jobs change,
Yeah.
especially this last year. I mean, we have so many jobs that we never imagined would be here now that we have
I
dealt
know.
with this pandemic. So,
I know. I know. And
yep.
just the breadth of which work is done, it looks a lot different too. Even from when I graduated from college to now, just the way that we do work looks a lot different. And so I feel like that's the biggest skill of all skills is to just be adaptable. If we've learned anything this year, that's what it really comes down to.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? What we want to be when we grow up changes every so many years when
Yeah,
life develops. So
exactly.
yeah, that's okay. That's a common thing that I hear from lots and lots of people. I had
Yeah.
no idea what I was going to do when I grew up.
Right.
So then as you started to get through college, did that kind of help solidify where you wanted to at least start, or was it more of like, let's see what's out there and what I'm interested in and go with that?
Yeah. So, I played sports when I was in college. And so I knew a lot of different people in a lot of different areas. So I had teammates who were going pre med, I had teammates that were in communications or criminal justice or just a ton of different things. And so those, even just getting to know different people and understanding how, and what passions other people had, I think it opened up my eyes to see that there is a lot out there. A lot of classes that I took at the beginning were very general education classes, so it got me exposed to a lot of different things. And so, yes, I think my mindset when I got to be a little bit older in college was go out and get experience in something that I'm interested in right now. In my mind, I knew that maybe this wasn't going to be my job forever, but just doing something to get some sort of exposure was going to be valuable. And I learned certain things that I really liked and certain things that I didn't like. And yeah, I just think experience and understanding what the work world is like is just really valuable at that point in your career.
Mhm. Good, good. I've heard from a number of people that it's kind of those conversations and those interactions that have really helped them with finding their path a little
Yeah.
bit. You know, oh, that sounds interesting, or that doesn't sound interesting, things like that. So,
And
yeah.
I
So,
like
were there classes in college that you found especially helpful that maybe other students should consider exploring in terms of helping you make some choices?
Yeah, I would say in general, my psychology classes were super interesting courses, just in like a general breadth of like a general education class. Just to understand how you're wired personally, to then understand maybe what certain things would give you energy and give you life. I think just understanding yourself is huge. So that class specifically, I know
Mhm.
my psychology class was really helpful to just discover more of how ways to think and how to kind of go about life. Tactically speaking, I took a business to business marketing class in college that was more that exposed me to the business world, and that was really helpful, along with, although I'm not a numbers person, taking classes like accounting or finance that were really out of my comfort zone, I think helped me get a wider variety of business as a whole. I guess even though that's not my forte at all, it's good to understand all areas of business, if that's what something you're interested in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So then, as a, if I can kind of use the terminology as a recruiter of sort or a talent
Yeah.
scout, do you do a lot of just like connecting with people in different areas, things like that? How is it that you connect and help people with career things?
Yeah. So I do a lot of conversations with people, a lot of phone conversations. We do a lot of posting on job boards. We do a lot of showing up at career fairs and different networking events. I mean, obviously, the Chamber of Commerce, to in and of itself, has a lot of different opportunities to connect and network with people. I think right now, to be honest, I don't want to come off like I know all these answers because I'm still learning, obviously, too. And just making sure that we're, I'm learning right now, combining my personal life and my work life together. I think sometimes it's easy to compartmentalize both of those. But there's things that I'm involved in outside of work that I can still loop work into. So like I'm on a board, and that kind of meshes things together. So I'm still learning kind of how to combine the two and bring the two together. I think we're all involved in different things, and so bringing up opportunities or seeing people and being like, oh, like that's a really cool and unique skill, have you ever thought about putting it in this way, or utilizing it in a certain way? So There are a lot of different ways that we try to connect with people and just be involved within the community to kind of share what opportunities are even out there. Because, like you're saying, I mean, some people just don't know what they don't know of different roles that they may be really, they could be very successful in, but they've never even thought about it. So I feel like that's an important part of my role, is to try to see potential in people and kind of say, hey, have you ever considered this, or have you ever considered that?
Mm-hmm. So then, as you, well, your title is actually talent acquisition specialist, but
Yeah.
to use the term recruiter,
Yes.
are there things that you like, special training that you should consider going to for this?
To become a recruiter?
Yeah.
Yeah. There are a ton of different certifications out there right now to become a recruiter, or even to kind of further your career in recruiting. All designations are super valuable and helpful in any career. And so there's a SHRM specifically, there's a SHRM certification, which is like an HR kind of organization, and you can take a ton of different certification courses to bring you up to speed and to educate you on certain things. So that's one specific, but there are a ton of different certifications that you can get for that.
And I would imagine you need to be comfortable speaking with a lot of people, not necessarily as like a presenter, but just that personal interaction with people, to just talk, to discover what they're interested, how their skills would match, things like that.
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of it. And just asking the questions, I think, is a huge portion of that. If you're someone who's curious and just wants to learn more about people and try to put pieces together, I think it's a really good place to be. But yes, loving to just talk with people is a big part of the work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So in terms of demand in for HR, talent acquisition, recruiting, I mean, every business, just about every business has people in HR. Not everyone has a recruiter or a talent acquisition staff member, but that's, that is a role that if they don't have somebody, they still have HR staff who want to find new staff. So I would imagine that there's going to be demand for this career for quite some time to come.
Yes. And I think that's a huge point to bring up, because companies' biggest assets are the people and who work for them and who are promoting their products, or who are in the classrooms, or who are in the operating room. Like, people are the most important asset. And so I think, yes, you're right, that this role may look different in the future, but there will always be a very big emphasis on getting the right people into your organization. And so I know even for us, I mean, I'm in the insurance industry. Not only is it insurance, but it's risk services. So we work a lot with companies to identify what are those main risk areas. And for majority of companies, it's the people. It's keeping and retaining people. And so, yes, my role is a recruiter, but also it's onboarding people. It's making sure that they're engaged. It can go beyond that, of how to not only just bring talent in, but how are you kind of putting them in a place to be successful? How are you setting them up in where they want to be, and having those conversations? So yes, it will be around for a long time. Long story short.
I mean, right now the labor market is just really all over the place, up and down. There's a lot of demand. There's a lot of people who are making changes in their careers. There's people trying to get back into work after whatever happened in the pandemic. So it is a very, very chaotic world right now in terms of the labor market. But even when that settles down, the need for finding good talent that matches your work environment is so very important. I just constantly hear from HR and recruiters about it's an investment that you're making in your staff, and you want to make sure that they're a good fit, because every time you have to hire a new person and train a new person in, there's that whole new learning curve. And it's just, if you can manage to get the good fit the first time around, it just really helps your company, helps your team, helps that person as well. So it's
Yes.
an important decision to be made when you bring staff on board.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. And I think too, for even the audience that we're speaking to, it's taking the time to really understand what do you value and what do you want in your career. Because if you think about our lives, we spend a lot of time at work, we spend a lot of time doing what we're doing, and so really believing in that and understanding the culture, understanding the values that that organization has, I think is a really big piece of it. And I think that's kind of a shift that's happening now in our workforce, is people care more about those values than maybe salary, or they care more about what that looks like versus other benefits that maybe in the past other generations valued a little bit more. So there's been an interesting change, I think, too, in what candidates value and what they see as important. So just understanding that and thinking through for yourself, what would that be for you?
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, and even right now, both of us are working from home.
right?
A strange new look to the business world. So, yeah.
Really is.
So we've talked a little bit about, interacting with people, but we'll use that scary word of networking. When I work with high school students, using that word networking can be a little bit intimidating.
Yeah.
Part of the reason for that is that we are very digital, and so we can have a lot of conversations that are very short, to the point. They typically are tweets or texts or instant messages or whatever the latest terminology is. So the other thing is that you're having a conversation with somebody who's already an adult in the work world. Mm-hmm. So networking can be very intimidating for our high school students. It can be intimidating for adults, but
yes.
Yes. So would you have some thoughts or suggestions for how you network with people, or thoughts that you have, or conversations you have that help move that process along?
Yeah, I think one thing that's always helped me is to just remember that we're all humans. I think that's a big part. Like, I think sometimes, especially when we're younger, we can really elevate people, adults or people with power or in positions, that it can be intimidating. But I think remembering that we're all humans and asking questions, just trying to get to know people, I think is a really big tip, I would say. First of all, mindset of just remembering people are human, and second, asking good questions, asking any questions to just gain more understanding of whether that's the person themselves or if they're representing a company, trying to get to know the company a little bit more. I think those are just good places to start. But yes, it can be intimidating. It can be sometimes those networking events. I know people work very hard to make sure that it's a comfortable environment and there's questions and things like that. But in those networking environments that are more maybe organically created, I think questions are good, because people love talking about what they do. People like talking about themselves too. Some people get uncomfortable doing that. I can understand that sometimes it's uncomfortable talking about myself, but getting other people to talk can be a good way to flow conversation.
I agree. For myself, I love talking with people and learning all about them. But if I use the word networking, it makes me nervous.
I know. So, it has a weird connotation to it. Yeah, I don't know. It can just seem
so I just, I'm going to meet people.
Yeah.
Going to chat, whatever.
Yep.
So,
yes. That's smart.
So then, as a talent acquisition specialist or recruiter, what does a day look like for you? If you could create a typical day, which is never the case, but what would that look like for you?
Yeah. So I think a lot of it is around connecting with people. So if I'm not actually having meetings set up with people, it's finding people to connect with. I do a lot of sourcing on LinkedIn. So if that's something that you've not, like, if you're a high school student and you haven't learned of LinkedIn, that's okay. I don't think I learned about it till college, but that's a place where I find a lot of candidates. We have internal job boards, so I'll review if there's any candidates in our job boards. Right now, we're building a onboarding process, so making sure that we have all of our managers on the same page of how we're going to train and equip employees, not only new employees, but current employees as well. So I do a lot of connecting with our managers. And then let's see what else. It's a lot of connecting with people and making sure that we as a company have what you would want in a company. So making sure that we have those trainings in place, those career pathways in place. There's a lot of tactical work that comes, but then also some fun like strategy type meetings that happen with that too.
Oh, sorry about that.
No,
My dog
good.
wanted to contribute. She agrees with you.
Yeah, oh, thank you.
Anyway, so then do you run the company's LinkedIn board? Is that part of your task too?
Yes. So I do, well, it's kind of two-part. We have somebody in marketing that does a lot of our like marketing on LinkedIn. I have a recruiter seat. So in LinkedIn, you can have recruiter seats, which help you kind of find different talent or recruit. And so I run the recruiter portion of our LinkedIn.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha. So social media for the business world. Just
Yeah,
if students are wondering what that really is.
Yeah, it is.
But it's not really like Instagram or Snapchat. It's more like Facebook because you can have longer conversations, but it's very professional focused. So
yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yes. I love LinkedIn. Again, I don't network, I make connections.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, you learn so much about people on LinkedIn.
And there's a lot of cool different boards to explore too with like different industries. You can go on LinkedIn and see different trends. Like they're always just coming out with studies and stuff that's just really valuable information. So yes, I love it too.
Oh, yes. Lots of good information, trainings, groups to have conversations. It's good. So, okay, so let's get it to the last point. Is there any other suggestions, advice that you want to share with high school students who are trying to find the right path?
Yeah. I would just say that the path doesn't look always straight. There's a lot of different deviations in the path, and I think accepting that and even embracing that, I think is important. I know from my perspective when I was in high school, I was like, oh my gosh, like what if I make the wrong step, or what if I do the wrong thing? When in reality, doing nothing is the wrong thing. Just do something and step towards whatever you're curious about right now. And I think that'll keep building onto itself, and you'll find yourself in a really unique position that you probably never thought you'd be. So I think just keeping an open mind and not being afraid to take a couple steps forward.
Great. Well, thank you again for making time for this today. I appreciate all your feedback. The students are going to really appreciate this as well. I'm going to stop recording now so that we have, oh, I don't want to end the video call. I'm sorry. Let's stop recording.